What's going on, guys? I am Toxic Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at the list of characters that you can pick up with the TANABATA wish strips that have been released on JP recently. So a lot of people are kind of disappointed in the list of characters here. The last few times that they've given out these wish strips, they've just been really ancient characters, right? Like they need to start adding some more relevant banner units to this. Like the newest unit on here released in like 2019 or something like that. So yeah, these are definitely really bottom of the barrel units. But the one saving grace is that a lot of these units have actually gotten EZAs somewhat recently, so their power has kind of gone up a lot. So we are going to be going over quite a few of the different characters that I think have value here. One disclaimer I'll put out is that we're not going over every single character that, potentially could be used in the modern meta. There are quite a few characters in here that we're not going to cover that do just have, post-EZA power. For instance, like some of these God Goku cards and stuff, right? Like they've recently gotten sub-EZAs and they are decent, right? They've got decent power, decent attack stat output, they've got decent defensive capabilities and stuff, but they're not really doing anything extra special that, like, you can't just depend on, like, your Dokkan Fest LRs and stuff to do for you instead. So the main point of this video is for me to point out units that have some sort of special utility that make them very valuable on the teams that they're on. So yeah, just keep that in mind going forward, that every unit I list here isn't, like, these aren't all of the usable characters on this list. Just the best ones, in my opinion. Okay, so the first unit that we're going to be taking a look at here is the AGL Golden Frieza. I have a feeling that this guy is going to be relevant until the very end of Dokkan. Like, he's pretty much just never, ever going to not have use, right? Just because of this. Having 90% damage reduction is, like, the enemies are going to start to have to hit very hard. We're going to need to see like another 2 or 3 major power creeps like what happened in the 7th anniversary with the red zones and stuff in order for this 90% damage reduction to look bad, right? And the fact that, if you figure the LR Final Form Coolers team is still, like, very relevant. It's pretty much always safe to assume that there's going to be a Frieza team that's relevant in the game, right? As one of the most relevant, like, DBZ enemies, obviously they're going to keep this guy, like, as target meta, similarly to, like, Vegeta cards and Goku cards and stuff, right? So yeah, this guy is pretty much always going to have a place in the meta. Definitely a good character to have access to. He also is one of the nuke leader skill units, and because he's post-EZA, he's got the boosted 35% attack perk keys here, so that could be relevant if you are still trying to hunt down, some of those punching machine runs and stuff like that. So yeah, this guy is definitely good, and then, if you glance here, he's on so many different categories, and I'm sure that will continue to build over time as well. So yeah, very good unit here. Okay, so then we've got the AGL Super Saiyan God Goku EZA here. One of the more recent EZAs on this list, in fact, which is a very good example of why that list of characters, while they look ancient, is not quite as bad as they seem, right? Because, if you peep the original release date on this guy, it was back in 2018, but then obviously he got his EZA just this year in March. So the main reason why I put this guy on the list is because, if you'll notice here, he's on the Universe Survival Saga category, which is very relevant for one specific unit. This guy, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. So if we go ahead and pull up... Oops, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and open this guy up here. Let me see if I can open this card. Yeah, there we go. So this guy, post-EZA, is insane. He is arguably the best, like, Dokkan Fest EZA in the game at the moment. The only problem with this guy is that Universe Survival Saga is a completely dead category at the moment, right? We don't even really have like a 200% leader skill for the category. We definitely need to see some buffs for that. And I'm sure once we do get buffs, then this guy's going to have, many options to be able to look powerful here. But in order for him to activate his Spirit Bomb active skill, which is one of the strongest active skill attacks in the game, he needs another 3 or more representatives of Universe 7 category allies on the team. You know, and as I mentioned, the Reps of 7 category itself is really, really dead. All of Universe Survival Saga in general, right? I mean, you still have, like, the UI Gokus here. That's kind of it. There's really not much else here to work with. But you do have the AGL God Goku. So that is a very, very helpful unit for you. So this is definitely, like, a modern, very strong unit that you can depend on to be one of your Reps of 7 on the team. And then, you know, keep in mind that you could also potentially run a friend Kaioken Goku. I suppose if you were running his team, then you could run a friend Kaioken Goku as well. And then that would be 2 out of your 3. So then you'd only need to find 1 more. And if you were to just throw one of the UI Gokus or something on there, then there you go. You have your 3 Reps of 7 to be able to use his active skill. So yeah, this guy is a very, very good option to be able to give power to one of the strongest EZAs in the game. And then if you'll also notice here, they do share 6 out of 7 links and 13 categories. So there is a lot of space for these guys to be paired up together. Definitely can be run on the same rotation. So yeah, this guy is definitely worth picking up. Okay, so next up we have the Fit Boo card. Actually kind of peculiar. He's one of the few units on this list that doesn't even have an EZA yet. The main reason that I wanted to point him out is because I've noticed for a lot of the Boo like content in the game, we're just lacking a lot of units on some of these like really, really heavy you know, like villain teams. You know, if you were to look at like a Frieza team, like what we were just talking about, the AGL Golden Frieza, there's plenty of options because there's just so many Frieza cards in the game, right? But it's not the same way with Boo cards. So if we're looking at you know, teams like Artificial Life Forms or Majin Power, Power Absorption, things like that, these categories are very, very limited and need all the help that they can get. So surprisingly enough, characters like Fit Boo are actually still some of the, like, one of the best units on those categories. Definitely reliable, especially if we're talking about Super Battle Road, where, you know, status effects can be applied to the enemy, because this guy does have a medium chance of stunning on super attacks, so that is very, very helpful. And then he also has a high chance of evading built into his passive as well. So both of those things are going to be very, very useful for you. He's getting 150% stats at the start of turn, and then an additional 150 for 7 turns, which, you know, all the modern day fights, they've really, really been hammering out the short form content for the last few years. Other than like the Legendary Goku event and stuff, getting new missions, there's really not much content in the game that is going to last longer than 7 turns. So this guy's passive is going to be pretty reliable for you. I've noticed that on a 200% leader skill, this guy sits at around like 250% or 250k defense at the start of turn. So, you know, that paired with the high chance of evading, you know, I suppose if you do evade or only get hit with normal attacks, then he'll be decent for you. So, yeah, especially for like the Majin Power Extreme Super Battle Road stage, which is brand new, has not even yet come to global. This is definitely one of the best options for that team. So next up, we have the Majin Buu Piccolo. Pretty much everything I just said about the Fit Buu, he is here for all the same reasons, right? It's a pre-EZA unit, but again, he's on Power Absorption, Majin Power, Artificial Life Forms. He's got high chance of stunning and the medium chance of evading in his passive. These are actually very, very similar units, right? And this guy is actually a Power Absorption category support, which is very, very helpful too. And he's got some HP recovery built into his kit. So yeah, another nice unit for some of these you know, more niche villain categories. I suppose, oh yeah, this guy has even better, a better category setup because he's also on Sworn Enemies and Worldwide Chaos, which are, again, another 2 villain categories that really need the help. Okay, so next up we have the Int Whis here, who also EZA'd during Saiyan Day this year. This is a very, very, I would say, underrated unit. I think a lot of people didn't realize how good this Int Whis actually is, because there were so many EZAs in that celebration with all the God Gokus and stuff, not to mention, like, the main headlining Dokkan Fest God Goku that came out. I think this guy kind of got overshadowed, but definitely he is not a unit that you should be looking past. He is one of the better support units for the teams that he is on, which obviously is not very many. As you can see, he only has 4 categories here. But any place that you are able to use him, he is going to be very, very viable. So let's take a look through his passive real quick here. So 120% stats at the start of turn. All allies are getting 3 key and 30% attack and defense. So and he's an all allies support, which is very, very good for a unit to have, right? Oftentimes units that are providing support are giving specific category support or specific unit support. So it is very, very valuable to see an all ally support like this. We don't really see that too often in the modern day. Okay, so then on top of that, he's got like this multiplicative passive support here. It works similar to like the Int Vado, so if you were to think back to that unit, or like the Int Trunks and Giru. So basically, Realm of Gods category allies are getting attack and defense and crit chance 10%, and then this stacks for units that are on Bond of Master and Disciple as well. They're going to be getting an additional 10%, and then for himself, he's getting an additional attack and defense 60% per Realm of Gods category ally attacking in the same turn. Considering the Realm of Gods team is probably the place where you're going to see this guy used the most, especially because he has this Realm of Gods support here, you're probably going to be proccing, the 120% attack and defense often with this guy. So then he's also got a chance of evading enemies' attack 25% per Bond of Master and Disciple category ally attacking in the same turn, self-excluded. So with his full passive active, assuming that, all the allies you're running in the same turn with him are on both Realm of Gods and Bond of Master and Disciple, he's going to be giving 50% attack and defense to all allies, 20% crit chance, and 3 key. He's also giving himself 120% stats plus another 120%. So he's going to be at 240% attack and defense at the start of turn, and a 50% chance to a dodge. Pretty good, right? That's kind of amazing. And then on top of that, he is also getting a defensive raise on super, which is very, very valuable. That's going to help him tank a little bit better after supering it, which is a pretty viable, piece to units kits. That is like one of the biggest things that we see with modern units that release that don't have a defense raise on super. They definitely need something like way better in their passive, to help make up for that. So the fact that this guy has like dodge chance and stuff and all of this, stat stacking on top of having the defense raise is really, really good. And then he lowers attack as well, which is helpful for like super battle road, I suppose. So yeah, this is definitely a unit that should not be slept on. Okay, so next up we have the STR Piccolo. I'm not going to spend too much time on this unit because people generally know what this guy does. He's just a really, really good AoE unit with guaranteed crit when facing 2 or more enemies, which makes him a prime unit for the World Tournament. I just finished using this guy over 1,000 times over the last 3 days on during the Global World Tournament that just finished up. So yeah, with the speed that this guy is able to attack and stuff, it makes him a very, very viable unit. He doesn't really have much use in the rest of the game, I suppose because he does have the medium chance of stunning all enemies as he does his AoE attack. He could be good for like a Super Battle Road stage or 2. There are, I suppose a few teams that could use the help in a Super Battle Road stage. I imagine like Worthy Rivals or Gifted Warriors, Namekians for sure, right? Battle of Wits. So yeah, I suppose you could see this guy have some use in Super Battle Road, but the main point of him is for World Tournament. So if you are somebody, a newer player that's still trying to build up your World Tournament setup, this is definitely a staple unit that you want to try and pick up. And I would honestly encourage dupes for this guy too, simply for World Tournament purposes. I would say at 55% with the guaranteed crit, you're probably not guaranteed to take out like the strongest AGL enemies in the World Tournament, but definitely at 100%, if you do get this guy rainbowed, or maybe even like 79%, he will definitely kill all the enemies every single time. So yeah. Okay, next up we have the STR Kuliza. This guy is starting to fall off, so keep that in mind. This guy definitely, he's already post-EZA, so he's not getting better anytime soon. Yeah, he's definitely on like the lower end of usable, but I did want to mention him because he is, on the 200% portion of the Final Form Coolers team here. which is still a very, very viable team, and he is giving, you know, quite a bit of support to that team, so that is very good. Okay, so next up we have the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta and Bulma, yet another unit that got his EZA during Saiyan Day this year. So this guy is pretty impressive. He does have some holes in his kit. He's not perfect, which, you know, that's very, very common for these units that have these effects where they are reducing damage received from normal attacks and countering. They always give these units holes because they're so strong defensively against like a slurry of normal attacks that they don't want to make them absolutely invincible. So they do give them some way to actually take damage. And basically the way that this guy gets that is with this portion of his passive right here, plus an additional defense 80% for 4 turns after receiving an attack. So because it's after receiving an attack, that means that the first thing you get hit with is going to hurt quite a bit. And then once he gets the additional 80% defense, you're going to be tanking a lot better, right? So typically with a unit that counters, you're going to want to try and throw them in slot 1 so that they can, because typically slot 1 has the most attacks against it, so you're going to be able to take advantage of doing the most counterattacks and dealing the most damage against the enemy. But if you're to throw him in slot 1 and, you know, he's pre-super attack, and then you get supered right away, then that's going to hurt a lot before you get this extra 80% defense. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this is an example of a unit that they don't give the defensive raise on super attack because he has like the damage reduction in his passive and stuff. They don't want to overload on his defensive capability, which is a little bit unfortunate. So yeah, keep in mind he only has the great attack raise on his super attack effect, which does hurt his defense quite a bit there. So he also gets, so he's got 122% stats at the start of turn, and then he has an additional 1 key and defense 120%, and high chance of crit when there's another Vegeta's family category ally attacking in the same turn. So this is a good ability, right? Definitely giving yourself some key and a lot of extra defense and high chance to crit, which for a countering unit, remember that high additional crit chance is very, very viable for him. So while this is a very good ability, having another Vegeta's family category ally around is not the most practical thing right now. So if we go ahead and take a look at the Vegeta's family category itself, it's kind of dying. We need some buffs for this category for sure. Like, we got this guy during Saiyan Day. We have Majin Vegeta, who's still pretty viable. Vegeta and Trunks are a decent unit. But other than that, there really isn't a lot usable on this category. If you were to compare Vegeta's family to, like, the Goku's family category, that is a category that's been getting buffs every single celebration, right? Like, there's just so many different Goku's family cards that are constantly getting buffs, but they really, really need to start giving us some better Vegeta cards and some better Trunks cards. So hopefully we'll be seeing some buffs for these guys soon, so that there will be some, you know, more opportunities to use the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta and Bulma card here. But yeah, definitely still a viable unit for sure. I think that this guy can keep up with Red Zone if you get lucky. Probably, you know, if you're getting clapped with like super attacks and stuff like that, obviously you're going to struggle. But against normal attacks, this guy performs very, very well. Okay, so next up we have the Physical Weirus here. One of the all-time best support units in the game. He was the original double key sphere changer, which was a very, very awesome thing. We've got a few of those in the game now. But I would say, because he is the only physical type double, key sphere changer, like changing orbs into physical, makes him especially useful for a few key units. So the two units that I want to talk about here are the LR Super Saiyan 4s, the 7th anniversary LR, and then also the physical Dokkan Fest Beerus. Both of those units are very, very powerful units. The Beerus, obviously, just having gotten his EZA on JP here, makes him a very, very good unit. So both of those units are very, very dependent on orbs, namely physical orbs, because they're physical type units, right? So the fact that this guy is going to be changing most of the key field into physical orbs is going to help those units a tremendous amount. And then on top of that, because the LR Super Saiyan 4s are on fusion, and the Beerus is on Realm of Gods, he is giving 30% attack and defense if he is able to obtain 3 or more key spheres, which is really, really easy to do. So he's also going to be a viable support unit for those units, as well as being able to give himself some dodge chance and additional stats with more orbs selected himself. So yeah, this is a very, very good unit that should not be slept on, and definitely can make his way through like red zone stages and stuff, depending on like his dodging, right? Oh yeah, so for the LR Super Saiyan 4s, that is a unit that, you know, everyone knows is they are getting, you know, lots of stats in their passive each turn if you're able to select a lot of key spheres with them, and then obviously if they get like their rainbow key spheres and stuff, then they're getting additional crit chance or dodge chance or whatever it is. And then for the physical Beerus, this guy has 40% damage reduction with 3 or more key spheres obtained, and then he gets an additional 30% damage reduction with 7 or more key spheres obtained. So with Beerus sitting next to this guy and changing all the key spheres into physical, you're going to be able to get this 7 key spheres selected very, very easily. Now keep in mind that this is like the Pan passive, right? Where he only gets the damage reduction until he attacks. So basically you want to throw this guy in slot 1, and this is the unit that's going to be able to protect you against those slot 1 super attacks, because he's going to have so much damage reduction out the gate. Just keep in mind that post super attack, he loses this 30% damage reduction, and he'll only go down to the 40%, so he's not going to defend quite as well. So he can be a little bit annoying, kind of like how we've experienced with the Tech Dokkan Fest Pan, where, you know, you just get hit with like normal attacks before you attack, then you throw out your super attack, and then the enemy decides to super attack you when you don't have the protection anymore. So that is kind of the hole that this unit has. Is not perfect, but he is still a very viable slot 1 unit, which is really, really important, because we have not been seeing a lot of you know, slot 1 viability, and that is like the most important thing for units kits nowadays, is for them to be able to be run in slot 1, right? So that you don't die first thing before you're able to do anything on a given rotation. Okay, so next up we have the physical Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta here. Absolutely the only reason that I've mentioned him is because of his leader skill. Because he is the, you know, physical nuke lead, he is one of the most viable leaders for the punching bag event, because you can get max damage with the physical GT Super Saiyan Goku. So yeah, having this guy as a leader to be able to build that team is definitely a good idea here. And then last but not least, we have the physical Super Saiyan Bardock here. So this is one of the better EZAs in his batch when all of those Bardock cards got their EZAs. He is definitely a defensive monster. And with all of these categories that he's on here, you could pretty much run him on any of them, right? Because a lot of these, you know, as I mentioned earlier in the videos, a lot of support units have very, very restricted passives, so that they're only supporting specific categories or specific units. But this is another one of those rare cases where we're seeing an all allies category support. Or not category support, but just all allies support, right? So he's giving 2 key and 30% attack and defense. And then on top of that, he's giving himself 318 defense at the start of turn. And he has a great defense raise on super attack. And then on top of that, he's also sealing. And then he gets an additional 30%. Oh, I'm sorry. He guards all attacks within the same turn after receiving an attack, and gets additional 30% defense when guard is activated. So yeah, he just basically has all of the strongest defensive mechanics in the game stacked on top of each other, except for dodging. That's pretty much it. So if you just throw full additional on this guy, and he's able to get off like 2 great defense raises in the turn, like you can take him into red zone, no problem. This guy is just absolutely amazing, right? So yeah, that's all of the units that I wanted to mention here. Again, keep in mind there are some other units on here that are pretty powerful and just have, you know, a good amount of attack and defense, and they can be dependable, you know, just like 7th slot units to throw in on your team and stuff. But I would say that those are all of the ones that have like outstanding abilities. So hopefully that was informational enough for you guys, so that you'll, you know, be able to kind of divvy down this list and pick out some of the better units. But yeah, hopefully they start updating this list. Next time the wish strips come around, we see some more relevant units come in here. Because most of these units have Easy 8 at this point. Kind of glancing at it, I would say maybe like 20% of these units are yet to Easy A. So maybe they're planning to wait until all of these units have Easy Aid before they update the list. Who knows? That could actually be really, really neat if they waited until all of these units Easy A, and then once that happens, they just delete this entire list and give us like 77 new characters that are all newer than this, and then just kind of start over. And for the next few years, we would just start to see that list of characters get Easy A's and see more and more relevancy from, you know, picking up units there. So who knows? We don't really know what the future holds for this list of characters, but I do pray that it gets updated. So hopefully you guys found that helpful, or at least enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any other questions about any of the units I didn't cover. I would be happy to clarify anything for you if you're curious about whether a unit is viable in today's meta or not. And then if you're decided on what units you want to pick up for your wish strips with any, you know, specific strategies in mind, then also post that stuff in the comments below too. I would be happy to know if there was any neat tips and tricks that I missed out on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace!